about clouds that's really interesting, but could you tell me how to get along with my husband? So here I am being directed by the Lord to become a marriage mentor. And I did not know that at the time. I said, well, I want to teach you spiritual things. I want to teach you how to, use the Bible and open it up and have yourself a wonderful time when you read, that you could have keys of understanding. But anyway, I guess what happens is when a person's not getting along in their marriage, everything else pales to it. And some people will use their spiritual, they like their spiritual walk so well, they let their marriage go to hell in a handbasket. So what I have done, and I have been putting together a marriage seminar. And what I would like to do with you today is to share with you some material that I am going to put into it. So I'm not going to do a full-blown marriage seminar, but I'd like to talk to you about the scriptural basis for marriage. And I'll try to make it real exciting, because this is for adults only. We're all adults here, right?
So it's not about clouds.
It's not about clouds. He tears up the front page. Anyway, you could have just X'd it out. And Calvin's going into the back there.
I was just making a point.
I know, it's not about clouds, I know.
This is a new book, man. I don't want to cross it out the first time.
You're too fun. And so the title of this is Making Love Work, or How to Succeed in Marriage. Now, if you're not married, and some of you are not, this might be boring for you, but at the same time, it may be helpful, because you'll remember down the road, 10 years into your marriage, when you get married, oh, what did he say to do? And I can remember when Jackie and I got married. It was a wonderful experience, wasn't it, honey?
Yep.
We got married on a Thursday night in Newark, California. Spent the night in a wonderful hotel called the Frontier Hotel in Fremont. The next day we went to Sambo's and had breakfast, and then we headed up to Ukiah. She said, I'd like to have a honeymoon in Ukiah. Well, I never heard of Ukiah. Well, subsequently, God sent us to Ukiah several years later to start our ministry. I thought that was really interesting.
Wow.
But we started off our marriage, and interesting grounds. She found out some things about me that really shocked her. I got this job one time, and I was working like 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and had to commute for an hour, and that was early on in our marriage. And I came home, and she says to me, would you clear off the table? I have your dinner ready. It was late at night. It was 10 o'clock at night. And so I said, sure, and I went like this. And everything fell on the floor. And she thought to herself, man, what is with this guy? This guy is strange. And so right there, she saw I had some idiosyncrasies that did not pair with hers. And so I was a little difficult. In fact, she got a book one time called How to Love a Difficult Man by Catherine Good, Nancy Good, I can recall that now. And she left it laying on the middle of our bed. And I came home from work one Friday afternoon, and I saw it laying there, and I picked it up, and I brought it into the kitchen where she was fixing dinner, and I said, honey, am I a difficult man? Well, she didn't answer me.
Uh-oh.
Well, to make a long story short, the next day, she was doing what she likes to do, and that was cooking a big breakfast with, bacon and eggs and gravy and all that good stuff, because we were young and we just loved that Southern cooking, right? So anyway, she had it all there, and she had buttered my toast. Well, it was sitting there on the plate, and she serves the meal, and I look at the toast, and I said, honey, I noticed something about the toast that wasn't the way I liked it. And I said, honey, next time you butter my toast, would you make sure the spread is all the way to the edges? Well, good thing she didn't throw the book at me. I'm telling you, right there I had the epiphany that I was a difficult guy to be around. And I didn't realize that until then. I guess it was like back to back. There was something about seeing the book, asking the question, and then answering the question myself. And so you see, sometimes we don't realize what kind of person we are until we meet somebody that we are in love with and marry. And so there you go. And so she stuck it out with me, and that was good because there was many fun days there. And so that is just one example of what it's like to enter into a marriage and then realizing that just because you like yourself doesn't mean that your spouse will like you. And I'm surprised because, you know, she was really being kind and doing these things, but I didn't realize how difficult I was. And I'll probably never know the end of that one. So, there's many more things that I could, you know, break the ice with to tell you, but basically, along the way, let me tell you another story. When God sent me and my wife Jackie to Ukiah to minister, we started ministering with people that were young people, still in their teens and early 20s. Well, you know what that means, don't you? They fall in love, they want to get married. Well, what happened was we had this young couple. The girl was 17, and she had a boyfriend, and they were living conjointly out of wedlock. Well, we explained to her that, you know, she couldn't get the guy to come to church, and she couldn't get him to want to marry her. Well, we explained to her, well, why should he? He's getting all the benefits of marriage without having to have the obligation or the commitment. And so what happens? She said, I don't know if I can do this, but she did. She stepped out of that situation, and 1 week later, he asked her to marry her. He asked her to marry him. And we did a wedding in our little church there, and it was real fun. And of course, it didn't come without problems. They were young, and they were a volatile couple. I mean, really volatile. Does that strike a note? Volatile. I mean, you know, you could set them off, and they would both fight like dogs and cats, you know. And one day he comes to me, and he's all scratched up. He says, my wife just scratched me up. I mean, she beat me up. And I go, wow, you know, this is really something. And so we changed venue and had our church at a different location, and they were getting along in their marriage a little bit. You know, I don't know how they did it, but he was a very optimistic guy. She was rather melancholy, always down. You know, you had to keep her up, and he was always up. He tended to be he was more even keeled, I would say, but he still had his side to him. Anyway, what happens is, they came in for counseling one day, and I thought, well, I know if I can get them to answer this question, I can help them. At least I'll give them hope. And I asked them the question, well, you both want this marriage to work, don't you? And what happened to me? Oh no, I could not believe this. They both answered in unison, yes and no. It was almost like, you know, he said yes, she said no, and I thought to myself, this is crazy. You know, what am I going to do with it? And I actually told him, I said, well, unless you really want this to work, there's not much I can do for you. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, they're still happily married today. Well, I don't know if they're happily married, but they're married. and they learn to work with each other's idiosyncrasies, and I hope I had some hand in it. And I believe I did. So what happened at that juncture in my life, God sent my picture of my face out into the future. And I believe that I have found conjunction with my destiny. And what is that? And that is to work with people